Good thing I'm not in prison. My stupid random off-the-cuff attempt at starting this video in a fun way. Lame. Hello. So, as you maybe can tell from the title, look, here's the thing. This has such a long title in the blog post because I just didn't know how to describe it any other way. Books with a girl boss that starts in prison but are actually uber powerful. They're uber powerful. Oompa-pa. Okay, can you tell I've been doing this? I am so tired. Okay, I'm not well, all right? I'm not well, okay? That's why I'm a lunatic, not because I just genuinely am. I didn't realize until recently that there is actually a little subgenre going on where there is a girl who has been put into a prison or a confinement sort of scenario, but who's actually secretly super powerful, and the people and the powers that be have put her in prison to try and contain her or to try and, get out the power. They want to use the power for their own, and then when she realizes that she's actually strong and powerful and amazing, then she breaks out of prison and takes over the world. Yeah, that's actually a thing. That exists in multiple books. I'm not kidding. And to prove it to you, we're going to go over them right now. So the first book, obviously, most of you have probably already thought of it in your own brains and thought I'd get it out the way, is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. I gave this book 3 stars. If you want to know more about the specifics of what these books are about, go look them up or go to the blog post because I have links. I kept going back and forth on this, liking and tolerating it. The writing I found to be nice at some times, and other times it was more like dribble. For example, talking about dying 5 times in 1 second. Oh. Oh my gosh, you can't come to terms with you're dying. Like, gosh, no, I'm just kidding. Often it came across as the typos, have fun, came across as too flowery, but I did enjoy the cross out of real or raw thoughts, then followed up by the one that character thinks should be having. That actually was a really fun element. The story was very slow to start, and I wished it would have jumped in a few chapters earlier, but then the story took a very different Beauty and the Beast vibe before finally doing a sharp turn to superheroes. It was disorienting to say the least. This book didn't know what it wanted to be, I swear. I know some spoilers overall for the series and just cannot, capital letters, understand how we get from this book to the final one. Even though I know the spoilers, I just don't understand. I almost don't want to know. And I'm hoping if I read any more, it won't be a toxic relationship that we're supposed to root for somehow. I never do. I never root for the toxic relationships. However, I do know some information about the series as a whole. The only other book that I can read from this series because of my own personal boundaries in reading is the second one. So I will never be able to finish this series. However, I am going to read the second book because I am interested to see where it goes apart from the overall plot in general of the series, which I happen to know. So there you go. Next book, Whisper by Lynette Noni. I really liked this book. I just read this. That's why I'm gushing. 4 stars. All right. Wowee. This was a way better executed and altered version of Shatter Me. You're welcome, Shatter Me fans. Come for me or just read Whisper yourself and then you can judge. Obsessed. I loved this one. The only thing I could have done without was more specifically described. Dang, I can't read today. I could have done without more specifically described torture type scenes. Those scenes towards the end of the book, as a content warning, they're really intense, okay? And I could have been a little less for me. Characters were great. Development of those characters, and especially the main character, figured out things as we go, and it was amazing. We figured it out with them. That's what I meant. Loved the power element. Always fun. Having powers and abilities. Can't wait to see it a bit more in action in the second book. I'm definitely reading the second book. Plot-wise, it was great similarities, like I said, above to Shatter Me, but it was much better in execution. Enough differences to be its own story and taking place in Sydney, which was a nice touch, a bit different. Different dynamics. The way the characters, and way less characters to keep track of, which was helpful, okay? All that and more made this an action-packed, easy to follow, quick to pace through, and thoroughly enjoyable story. This was a very easy to read book. It was really fun. I adored this book. It was so, so cool. The next book, also by Lynette Noni, is The Prison Healer, okay? 4.5 stars. I was surprised at how much I actually loved this book. The entire plot centers around the elemental trials and life in this crazy, dangerous prison. Our main characters are engaging, interesting, and encircled by such an interesting world. The ending, all the dots, dot, 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 not that many. I went out and got the next 2 books on almost the ending alone. I got to know, capital letters, what happens next. Careful of content trigger warnings, all right? I'll list those below, but the author didn't go too far with those, but just to be aware. So here are the content warnings, alrighty? Let's see if I can say these on YouTube without being in trouble. Graphic violence, moderate gore, moderate self-hurting. SA and harassment was moderate, moderate child abuse, moderate graphic torture, and graphic confinement. Like there was some serious, so those are some serious content warnings, so please be aware if those are things that you just cannot read or are going to trigger you. Please be aware. But it didn't go too far, I thought, and that's from someone who just like cannot, like that's some of that stuff I'm like, oh heck no. Next one is, there's not too many more because even though this is technically a subgenre, I haven't read that many. 9 by Rochelle Decker, 4.5 stars, all right? Redemption, identity, and are we a product of our lives or, okay. Start again, blah. Redemption, identity, and are we a product of our environment or can we choose our lives? I loved this story. It felt very Jason Bourne meets Divergent, and I was here for it. The characters were easy to connect with, somewhat unreliable at times, which made them exciting and interesting, and brought up some really deep and dense topics. Rochelle handled those topics and characters beautifully. I love the way she writes, and the story was fun and entertaining all the way till the end. Rochelle Decker is the daughter of my favorite author. I have 2 favorite authors, and one of those is Ted Decker. Love him, love his writing. She's his daughter, and she is a phenomenal writer in her own right. The reason I found her is because of Ted, but like I absolutely love her. She is so, so good. Crushed this, all right? Next, this is technically the last book, alrighty? It is called Apprentice, and it is the Collective Underground series, book 1 by Kristen Young. So, here we go. 2.5 stars. We're ending this video on a downer. So, we're also at 8 minutes, so let's hurry up. Really difficult to care through the first third of the book. I found that boring, uninspiring, and hard to push through. Once I did, however, the last 2/3 were actually interesting. I didn't mind the Divergent style system, and watching recruits go through learning and training for that. The ultimate plot we worked towards was working towards something I cheated and read about without continuing the series. Was interesting. We were getting there. It was interesting, but I wanted it to come sooner and get more interesting quicker. I had lost most of my interest, and there was little to hold my main attention for continuing the books. I found a lot of the world to be boring and complex at the same time. I didn't enjoy this particular dystopian world at all. I know where the author was going. I just didn't enjoy it. I found the characters irritating and unlikable. The story we are trying to figure out was okay. Not great, but okay. Honestly, my major issues with this book really boiled down to being too slow to start, a world building that wasn't my favorite world, content warnings, death and murder, detailed, and mental health. So there you go. Those were the books that sort of were like a boss babe in prison who then discovered she's super powerful and breaks out and just is like, the world is like my oyster and I can just, you know, save everyone. I can't believe that's a genuine subgenre in there. It's so funny. You probably could technically classify some more books in this category, but honestly, those are the ones that I've read that, you know, and that was my thoughts on all of those. Thanks for watching. Go read some of those yourself. I'll see you in the adventures.